Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 4 of the Smart Money Sundays series. Hope you guys are doing well, having a good weekend, and are excited for a new trading week ahead. As you can see on the right side of the screen, I do have quite a few pairs to go over with you guys. All right, so ranging from the DAXI, all the majors, and then a couple of the exotics and crosses. All right, I'm going to get into a little US 30 today. Had some requests. So starting off with the DAXI, the DXY. I'm going to head to the weekly to start. We can see that we came into this imbalance. All right, we filled the imbalance and we had a reaction from it. All right, so we initially thought that we were going to go long from this level. Okay, because if we zoom in, we started to accumulate price and then we broke. All right, so we were looking for some sort of retest and continuation. However, what I'm noticing on the weekly time frame based off how we closed, I'll just delete all this, is that we basically engulfed this huge candle with these 2 weeks of price action. Basically closed a few pips above where we originally opened when we made this strong move. So the momentum is to the downside. The dollar is extremely weak. And if I just go back to this, we retested this previous low here, all right, basically to the T, and we had no follow through from this big candle. So we roll over to the downside as expected. We also can see that we have relatively equal lows here on the 4-hour time frame. All right, so all this liquidity probably will be taken. All right, so I do anticipate price coming lower than this blue line, and I'm going to discuss that in a moment, because we do have more imbalance right in here. All right, and we have this little area, this less selling volume before the big move up, that it could potentially come and retest. All right, and as well, the momentum to the downside, I think we're going to make a new lower low from this. All right, so heading to I'll go to the daily first. What I'm hoping for is just some sort of initial run up of the highs, lower time frame highs, really just a pull back really into this last buy to sell move. All right, maybe fill up some imbalance here, retest this previous support, as we can see on a lower time frame, this previous support. So I have that sort of retest, 1 hour 50 EMA, 4 hour 50 EMA is right in here, and the daily 50 EMA, we are below it. All right, so just a quick retest and then a continuation. The draw on liquidity will be here. If I head to the lower time frames, I don't trade trend lines as always, but just for clarity purposes, I drew it. So just some sort of retest when we get that touch, and then continuation to the downside. Now I can see on the 4-hour time frame that we do have a little bit of an imbalance right in here, along with this last sell to buy that was never mitigated. All right, so if we are to go long, I'm going to be looking for longs around this level. I'm not going to be placing longs, because if we do come all the way back down here, we probably will just bust right through it and continue lower and make a lower low. But if we do get a reaction from here and we do start to accumulate and maybe shoot some sell to buy move or something like that, then I'll be looking to take a long trade. It may just be a pullback for a continuation to the downside. So more of like something like this. We come into here, we react, whatever, and then we pull back and then continue. Something like that, continue with the trend. All right, so I will not be having a big take profit on this buy if I do see a buy opportunity in here when it gets down in here, because I do think it will be based off of the liquidity I see here and the fact that we made a lower low from this price level. All right, the dollar is extremely bearish now. A higher time frame, if we do bust through that, as always, what do we look for? The next demand level or imbalance. There's imbalance in here, and this is the next demand level, which we'll be looking for buys in here. If we break through this and close below this level, then we're going to come much lower and fill up this imbalance in here that we left. All right, so that is the DXY. So keeping that in mind, let's go over to the Euro. So Euro USD, we are looking for continued longs because the DAXI is looking for continued shorts. All right, we are above the daily 50 EMA. We can see that we made a higher high, and this was probably right in here, this fast move to the downside was merely just a liquidity run. All right, so many people were thinking, oh, well, this is a distribution schematic. And, it could have been, but we never really had any, follow through to the downside. We had a push, we started to pull back. Because the DAXI is at the levels where it's at, I don't anticipate this to come any lower. All right, we may get an initial, seam of dollar strength or a push of dollar strength in here before continuation to the upside, because that's what we are looking for here. Just a quick push up to the upside and then a fall. So Euro USD, I'll start with the higher time frames. I really was liking for price to come back down into 1.15 to test this previous high. All right, but we never got that. We sustained above the daily 50 EMA. We are above the weekly 50 EMA. We can see here, if I delete this, that we are basically engulfing this huge sell. So we never had follow through from the sell. All right, so continued upside is expected. If I go down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that 4-hour 50, we are above it, and it kind of lines up quite nicely if we get a pullback. So by the time this pulls back, if it does, then this 4-hour 50 will probably be somewhere up in here. Could be an easy retest of the 4-hour 50 and then a continuation. So the reason why I am looking for buys at this level is because really this is where you want to be looking for buys, right in here. This is really the last selling volume, so basically anywhere in here. All right, we had on a lower time frame, go down to the 1 hour, we had this last selling volume in here mitigated with this push. All right, we had that push mitigated, and then we can see that we had this push mitigated on Friday. All right, so what I'm looking for, I'm not looking for a big retracement, which is why I'm only looking for price to get back down into here. And that still is kind of asking a lot because we are on a tear to the upside. So if we do get a pullback, I will be looking for buys in and around 1.1785. That is 50% of the imbalance from this wick down here to this wick up here. So we left a nice imbalance. You can see that we are balanced in here. We are balanced in here. All right. And then we did come down and test that demand. So everything up until this point is balanced. All right. So we need to come back down and rebalance the market, maybe a retest of this 4-hour 50, and then a continuation to the upside. All right. Targets for this will probably be in and around 1.1950, just somewhere up into this last buy to sell candle. We could easily make a new higher high from here, but that will be our first target, giving us a 1 to 6.6 risk reward. So that is Euro USD. AUD USD, similar situation. All right, we can see that on the daily time frame we are extremely bullish. We came into this previous resistance, all right, acted as support, and now we are pushing up. We are looking for continued dollar weakness, and the Aussie and the New Zealand dollar are showing some heavy signs of strength. All right, so pairing a weak currency like the dollar with a strong currency like the Aussie dollar or the New Zealand dollar, that could be a really good buy opportunity upon any pullback. All right, so heading to the 4-hour time frame, what can we see? Well, not only did we have this reaction, but we actually made equal highs here, and many people were thinking, well, we had a strong move from this level, and we can see on the daily time frame that we engulfed. Well, yeah, that's the case, but could this just be a pullback for a continuation? Because higher time frame, we retested this level, this big level that I just showed you, right? So higher time frame, we're bullish, right? So we merely just took liquidity, had an overall pullback, and we continued, made a higher high, so we should not come below that level. Right now, I'm just looking for a simple pullback for a continuation, really anywhere in between these blue lines. This blue line here is a last sell candle in here that swept liquidity before the big buy, and that would be in and around that 61.8% Fibonacci, as you can see right in here. But the 4-hour 50 is right in here, so will price make it all the way down here? Maybe not. So what we can do is we can zoom in and zoom out and see what else we can find, and maybe the daily open in here. This blue horizontal line could be good for a potential entry because I don't anticipate price to re-engulf this huge candle. So coming back down and not sweeping the previous day's low would probably be preferable. So coming back down and just mitigating this and continuing would probably be what I would like to see. Would be a decent sized stop loss, to be honest with you. A safe stop loss would be below the low here. However, we did create a resistance, support, resistance. We broke that, acted as support again, retested the 1-hour 50 in here and the 4-hour 50 right in here. So what we could do is if we do get an entry here, we can potentially put stops below the low here, or maybe even just below like one of these two lows in here to get a better risk reward. All right, because I don't anticipate price coming any lower than this. This is a huge run to the upside, and with strong momentum, we don't like to see heavy pullbacks. Really, we like to see slight pullbacks that indicates a strong trend. All right, so targets for this could easily just be really anywhere in here, anywhere in this consolidated block, or a new high overall, maybe 0.7450, 0.75. All right, so that's what I'm looking for. Nothing pertinent at the moment, but bias is long. Same with NZD USD. So NZD USD actually I really do like. Now, NU, we go to the higher time frames here. All right, I don't know why I have these blue lines. Let me see why. Probably just because if we go on the line chart, we can see that we had a round figure 6750. Go back to this really quick. All right, well, I can get rid of this. I don't really need it. I don't really need this either. All right, so we can see that we have the draw on liquidity here. So what we like to see when we are pushing higher in this bullish trend is we like to see some form of equal highs that were left before, and that's where we could potentially target. And same thing in here. We have relatively equal highs, relatively. So we probably will take out these highs and take out these highs, and probably just take out this high as well and continue long. This may be in for a massive push to the upside. All right, so for the here and now, you can see this trend line here. It's kind of like a secret trend line. You can see that we touched here, 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 and here to the T. All right, so we had this support level that was being held, is being held quite strongly. So I do anticipate further upside. We are above the daily 50 EMA, as you can see in here. On the lower time frame, what did we do? Well, we came into this last sell to buy right in here. Sell to buy mitigation, this last sell to buy move. All right, so this area of interest, we came into that, we spiked into it. And what did we do with that? We swept liquidity right in here. All right, so this sell to buy came down, mitigated that. So this is taken care of. All right, so we would not anticipate for price to come any lower than this level. And I don't think we will, because we are on a tear to the upside. And what did we do? We broke counter trend structure. Lower low, lower high. We failed to make a lower low, higher high. Just draw it like that. Pull back, continuation. Now where do we look to pull back? Well, discounted pricing, EMAs, imbalances, sponsor candles. What can we find? We have to build confluence behind the setup. All right, so we have a zone of interest right in here. We have previous resistance, support, resistance again. So any type of pullback in and around this level here, maybe around 0.66, if we can get down that far, would be nice. That would be about the 61, I believe. Yeah, 50.61. However, if we do just get a slight retracement, we may just come into what I believe is really this last sell to buy candle, right? So a shallow retracement. One of these two levels will be the areas of interest to be played from. Stops probably below this low here, just to give it a little room to breathe, just in case we do come down a little more and fill up some imbalance here. But I don't anticipate price coming any lower than here, because we're already rebalanced ourselves. We're already balanced all throughout here, so we are good to go. We had previous support, and then we kind of turned resistance, started to pull back a little bit, and then we continued. We never retested. So these two levels will be good. 1 hour 50 EMA, 4 hour 50 EMA, daily 50 EMA, all to the upside, maybe some sort of retest of those EMAs. Higher time frame targets, probably just going to be taking out this high here. Maybe that 6750 level. I think I had that maybe because of the imbalance right in here. So 67434 is really the imbalance fill, but round numbers says 6750. That's what the banks like to trade from, round numbers. So that could be our first target upon any pullback, and then higher time frame swing targets on this could really be anywhere, guys. It could really just be to take out this, these equal highs that I just mentioned, maybe come up into 0.70. That'd be a good final target for me. Maybe if you wanted to hold as a long swing trade, anywhere in here, this imbalance was never filled. All right, so that is NZD USD. Higher time frame, we are bullish. We are expecting further upside. GBP USD, same sort of deal. Now, I don't really particularly like GBP USD, but if we can find a buy setup, a really good buy setup, then we'll take it. We can see that this trend line here is being respected. 1 push, 2 push, potential 3rd push into the high. All right. We are looking to take out relatively equal highs in here. We can see that right in here. All right, relatively equal highs, and this is the 2019 highs. All right, so I do believe we're going to take out previous year's high. All right, we are in an uptrend. We never took liquidity here, and I do think that this was just some sort of resistance level that retail traders were thinking that we're going to push lower from, which we did. We had that reaction, and now I think we're going to go long because what did we do? Well, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We're looking for a higher high. Where's the zone? The zone is right in here, guys. Oops, right in here. Look at that. Support, support, resistance, turn support again. So you can just see how accurate these zones can be. All right, 1.2750, 1.278, all right, 1.28. These are the round figures that banks will trade from. What did we do initially? Well, we came down and we retested it as support. We pushed up. Many people were thinking buy, 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 but then we came down, swept the liquidity, grabbed some orders, and finally we're now going to be pushing to the upside. All right, so scaling in, where could we be looking for longs? Well, I'm kind of looking and favoring this last sell candle in and around this imbalance as well. So 1.297 round number. Now, it's not to say that we can't come back down into sort of this level here and retest, I guess, this consolidated block here. I'm not going to use the term that a lot of you guys would prefer me to use because it's not my term. I did not coin it, so I will not use it. But yeah, I think many people know what I'm talking about. So this area of consolidation needs to be retested. So either a push down here in continuation, the right time of day, or we may see an overall pullback. I don't anticipate that just because the dollar is still very, very weak. But if we can get back down into here and sweep all this liquidity, because that's what price likes to do. It likes to create a massive move and then discrete higher highs, higher lows, and then the overall pullback. All right, so we could be in for that soon. It would kind of be like an inverse head and shoulders. Left head, dip, right shoulder, back down into that same level right in here for longs. All right, so I'll be looking for longs in and around 1.2750. If we do break this low here, we come lower because on the 1 hour time frame, if I just zoom in here, we have the gap that is yet to be filled. All right, so we do have that gap. The gap fill lines up with 1.2750 round figure, so we could be in for that push overall on the higher time frame. So going to be cautious of that. So if we do get in this trade, we won't have a massive take profit, just because, well, if we do come back up into like maybe 1.3140, where is that? Maybe that's like, I think that's the daily imbalance. Yeah, so maybe if we pull back, get a continuation, fill in balance, have that overall pullback back down, and then continue up. Because I do believe we will have that overall pullback sooner than later. But if not, we can still ride the wave up and still catch longs. So that's GBP USD, USD CAD. USD CAD, I was looking for longs last week, guys. I'm not going to lie. I was looking for longs in and around this level, anywhere between 1.3250 and 1.3230. Right? Because what did we do? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, looking for a higher high. This zone in here, previous resistance, turn support. We had the reaction, just never got the follow through. All right, we had these equal highs to draw on liquidity here, around 1.34, and then we did have on the daily time frame an area where we did not retest, and we can clearly see that with this zone of interest, 1.350. All right, the support, we broke it, never retested as resistance. We have imbalance within here. All right, so what I'm hoping to see, since we did break this block of orders in here, we have massive engulfing to the downside. We retested the weekly 50. We are in a massive downtrend right in here. Higher time frame, we're in an uptrend, but right at the moment we're in a downtrend. So we should be expecting further downside prices, especially because oil is looking to go long, and I'll go over that in a little bit, meaning CAD strength, meaning USD CAD push down, and also USD weakness, USD CAD push down. So this could be a really good pair to trade this week if we can get that push, any pullback to sell it again. So what I'm looking for really into this last buy to sell move to fill in balance, retesting that zone as resistance. We can clearly see that we retested as support, but then we broke it. So any retest of resistance, maybe in and around 1.3230, somewhere in there to fill up in balance here on the 4 hour. If we can get back up there, that will be in and around that 50%, 61.8 retracement. I do anticipate price coming a little lower to start the week, so we may just push down before we end up pulling back, but overall we are bearish. All right, so that is my bias. USD CAD, Euro JPY. All right, so I have two possible scenarios with Euro JPY. I do expect further upside because the yen is quite weak, and the euro, because the dollar is weak, euro will naturally be strong. So many people were thinking, well, head and shoulders, break, pull back, short. Well, um, potentially, but we are above all EMAs. We did basically retest the weekly 50. We came to the weekly imbalance right in here. All right, retested that. We are in an uptrend. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, looking for that third drive into the high. All right, we have imbalance here that has yet to be filled. So I do believe 128 will be on the table for the next objective. Daily time frame are above the daily 50. Continuations to the upside is expected. I know we broke this level. I know in a lower time frame it may seem like, head and shoulders, we broke it, we need to pull back with the fall, but in reality, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher time frame always will trump. All right. So 4-hour time frame, what can we see? Well, two possible scenarios. We had this previous resistance here. All right. So we pushed up, made a high, kind of made equal highs in here. We fell, pushed back up again, acted as resistance, fell again, failed to make the lower low, so higher high, higher low, made a higher high. We made a higher low from that level. We pulled back, we retested this same level. We pushed up to entice buyers into the market. Then we pushed back down, taking their stop losses, entice sellers into the market with this massive push. Then we rallied back to the upside because we're in an uptrend, took the stop losses from the sellers. And now we have yet to retest this sort of zone. So we broke it, took orders, pushed back up. We need to come back and retest. And I think that could happen in around 124.25. That will be my area of interest to take along. Obviously, stops below the low if we do get stopped out here and have an overall pullback, because this isn't really it is a pullback, but I would like to see a deeper retracement, really back down to where we initially swept liquidity in here. This is going to be the area of interest, that block of orders that we'll be talking about. So this last selling volume, this consolidated block, pushed up, we need that retest. So if we do end up getting stopped out here, because I do think I'm going to be placing two limits, one here and one here, and I don't care if I lose this one, I lose 1%. Then if it comes down and I win this trade, I win 11%, net 10% gain. So we cannot be scared of taking losses in this industry, because if you have the proper risk to reward, then you will be profitable in the long term. All right, so the open here, 40 pip stop here, 35 pip stop. We are above the 4-hour 50, daily 50, I believe. Yep, weekly 50. Absolutely. Massive week last week. And I do think we can see some follow through. But maybe a pullback to start the week would be in order. All right, so two levels, I guess, trade ideas for you. I don't really send trade ideas on the Smart Money Sundays episodes, but I do really like these levels. So probably be setting a limit here and setting a limit here just in case we lose this one. Overall targets 128, fill up that imbalance in the weekly time frame like I showed you. Take out all these highs, all this liquidity. 1 to 10.7. If you lose that one, oh well. Come down here. If you win this one, 1 to 11. So good to go for that. CAD JPY. So CAD JPY. Let's start on the the daily time frame. So the daily time frame, what are we doing? We're making higher highs, higher lows. Yes, we are in a massive downtrend overall, making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. But if we are to come lower, I do think that we're going to see that last drive to the upside. We can see one drive, pull back, two drive, pull back, looking for that third drive into the high. Could come back into this last buying volume that took liquidity before the selling volume. All right, that made the lower low. Fill up imbalance. So I do think that has to be mitigated in and around 82.85 or around 83 round number. So what did we do in here? Well, we took liquidity right in here. Sell to buy. All right, we made a higher high from this level here, breaking this counter trend. All right, so clear as day, counter trend break, pull back, continuation is expected, CAD strength is what we're looking for, so that's good. We came back, tested this last selling volume before the buy, as you can see right in here. Not to the T, but this is just the general zone of interest. We swept all the liquidity in here, including these equal lows. All right, so we didn't have that reaction, so now let's scale into a lower time frame. A lot of people were thinking, well, resistance, support, support. Well, I was really hoping for that break and then that pullback to continue. All right, so many people were thinking, oh, it's a head and shoulders. Well, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, continuation downside. Well, no, we're in a higher time frame. Well, yeah, we're in a higher time frame downtrend, but if you understand how wave play works in this market and where the EMAs are, and where liquidity must be drawn and where we could be coming, then we can clearly see that we're going to come up to this level, in my opinion. So where is the potential entry for this? Well, what we can see here is that this last selling volume that took liquidity in here, after making a higher high, we came back down, mitigated that level, came a little bit lower than expected, but did not break the low here as expected, because why would we? Why would we come lower than where we started to buy from? That wouldn't make any sense, because that would be in drawdown on the buys. That doesn't happen in the market. So we created this last block of orders, in here with this last sell to buy. We came in and tapped that basically to the T, and we made a higher high from that. So we are not to come below this level, because why would we come below the buying volume like we did over here, or like we didn't do over here? So it's a good thing. We are above the 4-hour 50. We are above the daily 50. So this retest of the daily 50 and the 4-hour 50 could be very, very nice. Now, I think that we can potentially come into the open of this last sell to buy move, just like we came into the open of the sell to buy moves all in here and in here as well. So these levels, you know, guys, in an uptrend, we want to be looking to mitigate orders, and that happens in the form of selling volume, right? So when you come down and retest that, and because the daily 50 is right in here as well, it's a good confluence. All right, so many people were thinking, well, this last buy before the sell-off, imbalance between this wick and this wick in this zone could be a good sell, and now we just bulldozed our way through it. So I think any retest, because we broke this level, any retest to go long would be good. 4-hour time frame, this is the open of the daily, so that will be one of my entries. Obviously, stops below the low here, so in this case, 42 pip stop. But we may just come into the last selling volume in here, so just give ourselves a little bit of room, just in case we don't pull all the way back down into that level. A little bit bigger, about 50 pips, still 1 to 6 here, and then a 1 to 7.5 here. If I pull my fib from the low to the high, we can see that this level comes into the 61.8% fib and the 4-hour 50 EMA as well. So any pullbacks along it will be good to go for me. All right. Know this is a lot, guys. So pause the video, take notes if you want. Still have a few more to go over. So GBP JPY. Let's start on the weekly time frame. Just kind of go, do a top down here. So yes, we are in a downtrend, as you can see, lower low, lower high, and then we're making lower lows, lower highs. All right, we're in a downtrend. However, we did create liquidity here, equal lows, and we did sweep the liquidity here. So we could be in for an overall pullback in the market, and maybe take out some of these orders in here, right? Because we do have relatively equal highs in here, right? So that could be the drawn liquidity, and then we may come up into 150.000 psychological level. We did note that 142.318, which is this imbalance fill, could be met, and we could see a push to the downside, breaking this structure in here. And we called this out before it even was up into here. We called it out like down in here. We did have that reaction, but we never broke structure. We maintained structure, and we are continuing to push higher. And because I'm looking for a GBP USD to take out 2019 highs and continue, because we did tap that weekly 50 as well, I am looking for GBP JPY to do the same, because GBP JPY, GBP USD correlate well together. All right, daily time frame. All right, right in here, this last selling volume was mitigated with this, basically to the T. This last selling volume was mitigated here. All right, this last selling volume in this imbalance, didn't quite fill the imbalance, but we retested that demand. All right, we tapped that because what did we do? Higher high, higher low. We're not going to come below this level. That's why we didn't come into here. All right, because I was expecting price to come into here, but we never did. But then we made a higher high. I did not think price would come into here. If we were to maintain bullish structure, we should respect this level and not come below here. So this was our point of interest. We came into it to the T, had a reaction. I do think we can go higher. All right, 4-hour time frame. Two options here, guys. So one is going to be really this last selling volume in here that into sweep liquidity. Higher high, higher low. came into this demand level here, higher high. So we would expect a higher low. So this last selling volume to take the liquidity in here would be good. I think if we go to lower time frame, all these sells that took liquidity in here need to be mitigated. This liquidity needs to be taken as well. So that level in and around 136.6 is that pretty much that 1 hour time frame open of the sell candle and the imbalance fill. All right, that would be in and around, I do believe, 61.8% fib, so good confluence there. However, if we do come lower and have an overall pullback, I don't anticipate price coming any lower than here because we swept liquidity, sell to buy, and we never filled in balance, and we never retested this sponsor candle here. So if we do get a further push to the downside, again, if we do lose 1% here, that's fine. We'll take a trade here, and if we win that one, we win 11.5%, net of 10.5% if you are risking 1%. So continued upside is expected. Just any pullback to get in. These two levels, mark them off, 136.6, 135.57. All right, overall targets. Well, first target can be 139.50. That is right in here, just about where the daily imbalance is. It happens to be around 139.585, but 139.5, these whole figures, these round numbers, half figures, so 139.5, 140, 140.5, those levels are more likely to be hit, right? So that will be our first target. Overall targets, I mean, just above these highs. If you want to hold that long, I don't think I'll hold that long. May leave a small runner open, but I'm not really a swing trader. But a higher time frame, yeah, just to take out this high in here, maybe this high, something like that. All right, so that's GBP JPY. Euro AUD, I don't have anything on Euro AUD, nothing really clear at the moment. Was hoping for longs last week, didn't get that, pushed to the downside. Aussie dollar is quite strong. We can see, and I guess this could be a learning lesson for you guys, we are expecting Euro to strengthen, right, because the dollar is weakening. But why did Euro AUD push to the downside so strongly? Well, it's because the Aussie dollar, that strength overpowered Euro strength. So the Aussie dollar is very, very strong. So we should pair that with Aussie dollar, AUD USD, to go long because dollar is weak, Aussie strong. This would be a good pair to buy. But yeah, no clear setup at the moment, just kind of consolidating. Euro NZD. Now, Euro NZD is quite tough. I'm not going to lie, because we do have liquidity here that needs to be taken, but we are looking like we could push to the downside because of New Zealand dollar strength and the fact that we have equal lows here. So starting from the higher time frame, weekly time frame, we can see, just I'm marking up these demand levels, guys. They react basically to the T. All right, this demand level, last selling volume before the buy, came into it to the T. Demand, selling volume before the buy, came into it. All right, higher high, pulled back. We never tested this last sell to buy in here. We do have relatively equal lows. All right, so if we are to come lower, this will be the target before potentially looking for longs. All right, daily time frame. I know we have liquidity here, but what are we looking for? Well, 4 hour time frame, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So that 1 drive, pullback, 2 drive, pullback, 3 drive. All right, we have relatively equal lows in here as well, actually. So that could be the first draw on liquidity. But what did? We came into this level to the T. Why did we react so strongly? We pushed so strong up and then so strong down. Well, it's because we filled daily imbalance, or excuse me, the daily low. We came into this previous low, and we filled 4 hour imbalance, basically to the T. Had a massive move. So what am I thinking? I'm thinking one of two things. Either we look for buys around this last sell to buy because we technically are still on a counter trend up move. So I'm not going to be placing a limit here, but I'll be looking at a lower time frame for any sort of break of structure, lower time frame, all right, to then take it long, back up into sort of these levels just in case these are respected and we end up falling. So if that doesn't play out, I won't buy it. But if we do break and we clear this level, then we'll be shifting structure. We'll have broken structure. So any pullback to short would be nice. Now, I don't know if we're going to come all the way back up into this level. That will be quite tough. But if we can, then this last buying volume in here, buy to sell, in around 1.7860, somewhere in there, or 1.79 if we can make it up that high. It is a little risky because even though it is the last buy before the sell, so technically a sponsor candle, you don't really want to see a large retracement, because if you have that massive push to the upside, so if you come all the way back down, guys, if you come all the way back down into here, you break structure, yeah, you are looking for shorts, but if you come all the way back up into here, that's a big retracement. You don't really want to see that. And that could easily just continue to the upside. This may just be a sell to buy. All right. So if it retraces that far, I don't know if I'll look for sells. We'll have to see, because really when we have a strong push, we don't want to see a big retracement. We really don't. So that could easily just continue to the upside if that's the case. So I'll be monitoring this closely, and looking for potential setups for the week ahead. I am expecting further downside, so really any pullback to short would be nice, but I will be looking for reactions in here just in case we do continue with this counter trend move. All right, two more to go over. I know it's a long video. US oil, equal highs. That will be run. Further upside on US oil is expected. CAD strength. Got it? All right, good. Daily time frame, weekly time frame. So this could be the overall target for longs if we do continue to buy up. 49.41, retested the support, fill in balance, or 50.00 round number, really retesting these last buy orders before the sell. All right, so psychological figure there. Daily time frame, kind of see this mini trend line here, from this high to this low, this low to this low. All right, so what do? Well, we chopped around, sell to buy, made equal highs. So really any pullback into sort of this level in here would be good for longs. All right, so in and around 38.60 is where I'll be looking for longs. All right, equal highs I already mentioned. Previous support, resistance, support, support, sort of resistance in here. Really this last selling volume before the buy, just like on the daily time frame, that last sell to buy there. So entry in and around 38.6, stop loss below the low. So that will be a 160 pips stop. But I know you may think that's a lot, but really on oil it's not, because an overall target for this will be 1,081 pips. So still 1 to 6.76. I don't really care about the pips. I care about the percentages. That's how you make money in this market. So oil, continued longs. That's why we're looking for CAD strength. All right. Actually, one more thing. We never came back into, I'll go to the daily. We never came back into this imbalance in here, this last low. We never came into the low here. The last buying volume before the sell, we never came into it. We came very close, but we never tapped it. That's why, and it's another confluence to go long. All right, so just wanted to point that out. US 30. So US 30, I don't trade US 30 that often. I know I got a request from the NASDAQ. I'm not going to go over the NASDAQ. I just don't know it well enough. I don't want to give you any false information. I don't want to go over something and give you guys some trading tips or whatever for that pair, because I just don't know much about it. All right. I don't really know much about US 30, but I know more about US 30 than I do NASDAQ. So we'll describe US 30 a little bit. US 30, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, is the inverse correlation of the dollar, okay? Because if the dollar strengthens, US 30 equities will start to drop, and if the equities rise, then the dollar will naturally weaken. All right. So that's exactly what we're looking for. Dollar weakness, equity rises, okay? All right, so daily time frame. Let me just note the fact that these highs in here were the highs that really began the massive fall from coronavirus. All right, so the massive recessionary kind of contractory period where we had a massive, like 33% decline. We haven't taken out those highs yet, so these highs I do believe will be taken out. We are above the daily 50, we are above the weekly 50, we're all above all EMAs. We basically tapped the weekly 50. We did come in to right in here, the last selling volume before the buy, because what do we have? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So this is a mini trend right in here within this higher high, higher low expansionary move, right? So we came into that basically to the T, made a heavy reaction, and a lower time frame we broke counter trend structure, as you can see here. Counter trend, right in there, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, failed to make that lower low, higher high, right? So what I'm looking for I really don't see a clear setup at the moment because we do have discrete higher highs, higher lows. I don't know how far we'll pull back. We may take out some liquidity before continuing. Will we have an overall pullback? I don't think so because the dollar is very, very weak. So I don't anticipate price to pull back that much. But if we do, I won't be looking to take out this low here. We may come back into sort of, this level in here, but that is quite far-fetched. I don't anticipate that, but if we do, then this will be the level to take longs from, around 27,000. All right, but for the here and now, just following structure, higher highs, higher lows. What am I looking for? Well, probably just this daily open, this daily block of orders, this last selling volume. All right, we do have a zone of price in here. Support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, a little bit of support here. So could make it support again, retest somewhere in here, maybe 28,000. But that daily open is in around 28,138. So I am expecting further upside. Just continuing with the trend. Obviously you can see here, this is the previous low that made this high, so we shouldn't come below here. So if we just pull the fib, 50%, 61.8, 4 hour 50 in here, daily opens right in here. So really anywhere in this region of price here. And I'll be looking for longs in a lower time frame. So that's all I got for you guys. Continued upside on this is expected. So longs in US30 is the bias, shorts on the dollar is the bias, and longs on the CAD and oil are the bias. All right, so hope you enjoyed this. Hope you guys took a lot of value from it. I appreciate your time. I know this was a long video. So thanks so much. If you have any questions, as always, please feel free to message us on IG. That is Ariel__FX. So it's a double underscore, or at Ariel FX Trading on Telegram. So hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night, wherever you are in the world. And we'll speak to you guys soon. Appreciate you guys. Thanks.